Good evening, fans. Welcome to Mountaineer Football Tonight Coaches Show. I'm your host, Craig Short. Behind the controls is my good friend, Drew Fulton. Coach Herron will be joining us here in just a few moments. We want to welcome you to the show as we're going to talk about the game last week against Stuart Cramer, and we will talk about this week's game against Ashbrook. We have had to move them up. The JV's playing tonight. We'll look at the graphic here in just a moment. The varsity's playing tomorrow because of the threat of weather on Friday. It's 2 weeks in a row. We'll talk to Coach about that here in just a few moments about moving games up. But what we'll do now is we'll go to a sponsor break like we always do. From that, we'll go into our highlight video. And after the highlight video, we'll be back to talk about this week's game against Ashbrook Green Wave. Stay with us. We'll be back in just a moment.
Mountaineer Football Tonight is sponsored by HB Jones Appraisals, John Gamble and Carolina Golf, the Kings Mountain Family YMCA, Harris Funeral Home, Mountaineer Football Tonight is sponsored by H.B. Jones Appraisals, John Gamble and Carolina Golf, the Kings Mountain Family YMCA, Harris Funeral Home,
Welcome back, fans. Good to have you. Coach Herron's here with us now. And Coach, like I always do, welcome. Good to see you again.
Thanks.
Let's talk about, we'll get right into it because you got a little bit of a busy night ahead of you with us moving to games, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. Let's talk about the Stuart Cramer game. Watching the game this past week and doing the broadcast, I thought our offense executed really well.
Yeah.
I'll let you talk about that. We had some missing pieces. I know we had some people banged up, but still thought we executed well. Defensively, a great performance. They got 3 cheap ones there at the end, 3 points, I thought. I'll let you speak to that. And then special teams, we got some people in on that. We talked about you working with the kickoff team and how you guys have worked on that this past week. I could really tell. I could tell a difference how they were moving around, how they were running, got down, some new folks out there playing, doing well. So I don't normally do the 3 together, but I wanted to just do it that way and just let you talk about the 3 phases, and then we'll talk about the takeaways.
Yeah, offensively, we were in a position where we felt good about being able to run the football, and it seems like that first series we come out. We pretty much, it just seems different. It was like we can do whatever we want to do. We had some throws, made some catches, and but of course I ran the football. So, but it kept clicking. It's just we've just got to get more consistent in the passing game. We feel like that we could get a lot better there. So that's something that we've been working on. But not just this past week. We've been working on it for a while. So hopefully that'll come around eventually. But we did do a good job running the ball, and with the injuries that we had, especially with the offensive line, we were real pleased with how we came out on what we were doing up front. So defensively, those guys are still doing their thing. They play so hard and so fast. It makes it really tough on offenses. So they did what they needed to do, and of course, Stuart Cramer helped us out, snapping the ball over the quarterback's head a couple times. That kind of stuff helps you. But and then we gave up a long pass, which was that's all on us. We didn't have enough players on the field. A cornerback just didn't go out on the field, and they saw it and threw it to the receiver, and he goes for the long distance. But the great thing about it was we held them, and they didn't get any points off of that. So defense played well. We just got to do a better job of staying focused in the game. Special teams they did what they were supposed to do. I mean, nothing spectacular there, but they did what they were supposed to do. And like you were talking about, our kickoff team, I thought did get better last week, and we put the same emphasis on it this week. So hopefully we'll be just as good.
Did you feel like with the special teams, did you have to call your special teams coordinator in and rake him over the coals a little bit?
Well, it is.
I know I've heard he's a little hard-headed.
Well, and I kind of that guy has gotten kind of a bad rap.
Has he really?
Yes, because I don't know where it got said that I was a special teams coordinator, but it's in the program that I am.
That's what I've heard.
I guess I am, but really, I only handle the punt team. That's all I do.
So you're giving the other ones over the field. Okay.
So we've got Coach Bell handles the kickoff, and Coach Bolton handles kickoff return, and so
you have nothing to do with those other ones.
Yes, sir. They were completely on somebody else. Coach Cruz, he's got the PAT field goal, and Coach Carroll's got PAT field goal block. So I spread my special teams out.
Y'all heard it here that he said he has nothing to do with the kickoff or kickoff return. So by the way, okay,
that's right.
I'm just giving you a hard time. I think it's fine. Coach, and one of the things I thought about, I thought that I thought we played well considering that, it's homecoming.
Right.
It was moved up a day. There was a parade. We talked about all that. We want that to happen for the fans and for the kids. And the other students, but those could be huge distractions. Homecoming in general, while it's fun and it's good for folks, it could be a huge distraction. But I thought the guys did really well working through that. They also didn't come out flat. Oftentimes too, you can get so hyped up for a game like that, you come out flat. I thought we played well and executed well and did the things we need to do. And what I liked is that aside from that, which is really good, we also executed well enough. A lot of guys got to play. And that's going to help us down the road. I know you have that one game at a time mentality, and I completely agree with that. But we also are hoping to continue to play many more weeks. And a lot of these guys are getting reps. That's going to help us.
Yeah, and that's what I've always done. I believe in getting guys on the field. And actually, the rule of the running clock, it actually hurts us because, I'm not, I understand the reason for the rule because there's guys out there who they'll try to run the score up and they'll try to embarrass people, make them look bad. And I'm not one of those guys. We're gonna get what we need, and then we're gonna start playing our other players. And I kind of wish that we had a little more control on that running clock so that we could get more guys on the field and get them reps. We want to pitch a shutout. That's what we want to do on defense. And so you're talking about the giving up the 3 points at the end. And if you watch the video, our guys, when it happens, they're just putting their heads down, and they one of them grabbed their helmet, which is a good sign because it means something to them. But if you're on the other side of the field, you want to make sure that we don't get that shutout, and that they don't put up a 0 on the board. So you understand where they're coming from.
Absolutely.
But that's part of the game. I mean, that's part of what we're trying to do. But in order to do that, now when they got the ball down right there at the goal line, we put the starters back in, but we had to do that because we knew that they would probably kick a field goal, and our backup guys don't know what to do on a field goal block. So that's why we made the change, and I'm sure people probably saw that and thought, man, that's already putting in their starters. But it's just because we knew that if they kicked the field goal, we wouldn't be able to get lined up. We might even have too many people on the field. So
I'm gonna be honest with you. When I saw it happening, I saw them coming down the sideline going, I thought it was fantastic.
Yes.
Because sitting up there in the press box and thinking, we're trying to pitch a shutout.
Right.
And not that those guys that were playing couldn't have done that.
No. But
I don't think that at all. I mean, they had played great. I mean, to be honest with you, I think they got down there on a couple of just kind of fluke plays anyway.
They did.
So I don't think it was with the personnel. I didn't mean that at all.
Right.
But when I saw them come down the field, come down the sideline and go in, I thought, okay, here we go. But they got a field goal, so be it. I mean, it is what it is.
That's right. That's part of the game.
I think considering giving up even a field goal there was a good takeaway. And so speaking of that, Coach, like we always do, give me 3 of your takeaways or 3 takeaways from the game.
Well, we've already touched on most of them. First of all is I think one of the biggest takeaways is right now with us being banged up as much as we are, we're still able to execute with the guys with the next man up mentality. We're not going to change everything that we do because we've got guys hurt. We just move the guys in who have been getting the reps, and we just move forward. And our players did a great job with that. They took ownership of what they needed to do, and they got it done. I guess another takeaway would be what we just talked about is that I found really, I guess, inspiring because a lot of times when you get in that situation and you start putting in those backups, your starters will go over to the side and they'll sit on the bench and they won't pay attention, or shoot, I've even had them go over there and start taking their pads off. And our guys didn't do that. Our guys, they stayed on the sideline, they watched the snaps, they pulled for the guys that were out there in their spots, and then when we said we needed the ones, they were ready to go. Yeah. So that's a huge takeaway because that is a big part of a team that people don't recognize. They don't see it, and so that's very big. And then I guess the last takeaway is what you were talking about. I was real impressed with the way that we didn't let distractions bother us. I was concerned about it for all week long, and didn't want to even have to think about what was going to come on Friday, the parade and all those things that were going to happen. And then it got moved to Thursday, and it didn't seem to affect our players at all. They went out and really focused on the job at hand. And plus, you're playing a team that doesn't have a win. And so our guys could have easily just went out and said, hey, we'll just, we'll do whatever we need to do, and it'll be fun. We'll just take care. But they didn't. They really focused on what they needed to get done. And that's another good sign.
I agree. And it was a good night. Good night for homecoming, good night for Mountaineer football, and everything worked well. And I know all of our fans are pleased, the guys are pleased. Hey, we got banged up a little bit. We'll talk more about that in a minute, but got out with a win. So big win over Ashbrook. It's good gravy. We're playing Ashbrook this week.
Yeah, Ashbrook.
Big win over Stuart Cramer this past week, 51-3. So what we'll do is we'll take a sponsor break, and when we come back, we'll talk to Coach about this week's game against Ashbrook in just a few minutes. Hang on.
Mountaineer Football Tonight is sponsored by HB Jones Appraisals, John Gamble and Carolina Golf, the Kings Mountain Family YMCA, Harris Funeral Home,
Welcome back, fans. We're going to talk now about this week's game against Ashbrook. Games, actually, because the JV are out there warming up right now. Coach, the game's got moved again, obviously. I'll let you talk about that. I mean, I know why, of course. I mean, with the threat of rain Friday, it makes sense. Talk about a little bit about that. What has it done to affect your preparation? I mean, obviously, when you went in to watching film this past weekend, you do what all coaches do. You were looking ahead at the weather. I mean, I know it didn't catch you off guard,
right?
But you were hoping that you would play Friday, and then of course it got moved. So, what does that do for your preparations?
Well, so we divide the week up into our 4 practice days. And so Monday is our initial first day where we try to coach our guys up on a lot of what we're going to see from our opponent and how we're going to attack it or defend it, whatever it is we're doing. So Monday is really what we call a shells day, where they only wear shoulder pads, and we're just going to work on learning that stuff. And we're going to hit just a little bit just to make sure that our shoulders and our technique and all that kind of stuff are good. And then on Tuesday, that's our work day. So it's full dress. They've got the pants on and everything, so we can do goal line offense and defense and really get down there and do some hitting that you need to do. It isn't full out hitting like the old days. We don't tackle to the ground or any of that stuff, but it's live. We want it to be as live as possible. And then Wednesday, which is our leadership day, and it was our recovery day. We've actually kind of moved away from that, and on Wednesday now we're going out for about an hour, helmets only, and again just teaching. It's all about teaching what's going on and getting better at the things that we're trying to get ready for. And then Thursday we go back out in shells and go through everything again on a different. We have a different plan, so we were just moving from situation to situation to situation. So when you shorten the week, we're going to take the Wednesday out, and so we do the Monday, Tuesday, Thursday practice, and then play on Thursday. So our Thursday practice gets moved to Wednesday, and that's how we prepare. Yeah. Everything is basically the same. Yeah. I mean, I know sometimes I've even had players tell me before that it kind of gets monotonous because it's the same thing, but that's what reps is all about. So,
would you rather play a day early or a day late?
It depends on who we're playing.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, it depends on who we're playing.
Because I've done both as well. I mean, there have been times where we've, like y'all have done the last 2 weeks, we've moved it up to Thursday. I've also played, as you just said, like on Saturday.
Yeah, I played Saturday.
And unfortunately, I've also had to play because I'm going to that place on a Monday. Yeah. And having to turn around and play again on Friday, and that's never any fun.
No, and I wouldn't. That's one I wouldn't want to do.
No, I can't stand that one.
But yeah, I've done both, and really it just depends on who you're playing and that kind of stuff. But I don't mind playing on a Thursday night. I just, you just miss Friday night's the night. So, anyway, it is what it is. And so if you go back and just to talk about that for a minute, I don't mind playing in the rain. I'm not one of those that these we call them millennial coaches. I'm gonna be careful, but
you got a few of those on your staff.
No, we won't talk about that. We don't want to bring that up. But I don't mind playing in the rain. It's football. It's supposed to be played in whatever the conditions are, and that's part of the game. And you can see it from the NFL to college to now to high school that people were moving around to try to avoid the weather. But the thing is, the reason why the game was changed for us is because some of the other teams changed their games, and so. You don't want to put yourself in a position to give your opponent an advantage.
Of course.
That's what would have happened had we played on Friday night and Thursday night we're at a JV game and another varsity team is playing, and then on Friday night we're playing. They're watching us, and we don't want to do that.
No, I don't blame you. And like for this week, I don't blame Ashbrook for moving the game. I'm assuming it's their senior night.
Yeah, I would think.
Right. Because I think they play Hunter Huss next week, which is a huge rivalry for them for a bell.
Yeah.
But I would think it is, and so that's important. Kind of like it was with us. So you're right. I mean, playing ahead so the other team doesn't have an advantage because you would be watched in person.
Right.
Yeah, because I've done that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we got to going back to that scenario of having to move. We've got to give props to the city of Kings Mountain. They when we called, we told them what was going on, and they called and Miss Wilson came back and she said we talked to the city. The city said they're good. We can move everything that we were doing on Friday to Thursday, and that was pretty cool. I mean, it was great for our kids, as I know they would have been upset if they didn't get to do the parade.
Sure.
And then the homecoming, I think, was a huge success.
It was.
And that's always much better than doing a homecoming in the rain.
Yes, I've done that too, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, Coach, tell us about what you think, what your first impressions of Ashbrook, what they run, what we're going to see offensively and defensively, and some players to look for. Obviously, we can't take them lightly. They've got some wins under their belt. I know from years past, I'm going to let you confirm what I've known from years past, and coaching against them and watching them, they're usually athletic and they're usually big.
Yep.
I know we're not going to take them lightly. So talk to us about the Green Wave, what you've seen.
Yeah, offensively, like you said, they're big up front. They've got they'll be the biggest team we played this year so far, and that when you're banged up, that's not what you want to see.
Right.
But they have a lot. They do have some good athletes. They remind me a lot of Hunter Huss, but on a bigger scale. So their quarterback can run. They do some zone read type stuff that can give teams problems. Because now somebody's got to take the quarterback. Somebody's got to take either an outside zone running back, or possibly even a inside zone running back, and it makes it tough. You got to know what you're doing. The other part about it that they just do. It's not because of us. They run a lot of screens, which is probably the one thing that if I was playing against our defense and wanted to throw the ball, that's probably what I'd do is throw the screens. So that's another thing that we've got to deal with. That's going to be a challenge to our defense. They're going to have to be able to take care of both of those things, so there's a lot going on there. They do a good job. They've got a good scheme offensively and defensively. I guess you would say that they're pretty vanilla. They run like what's a two high safety coverage type thing, but they'll roll down, they'll roll weak, they'll roll strong, and get a safety in the middle of the field. But they do some things that make it hard on a quarterback. They might look like they're playing cover two on one side, and you would think they're playing cover two on the other side, but they really aren't. They're playing man. So, a quarterback that's not paying attention or hasn't been coached well enough to understand what they're seeing could drop back and think that the guy's coming wide open and he's throwing in his own coverage, and there's a safety standing there getting ready to pick it off. So things like that that worry you. You know, those are things that worry you at night when you're laying in bed trying to think everything, if you got everything covered. But those are the things that bother you. So they've got a couple of good defensive ends. They do a good job, and you know, so it makes you worry about your running game, which is your bread and butter. So we're going to have to play really well, and you know, it'll be good for us as long as we don't get banged up. It'll be a good matchup, something for us to use to get better as we get into this thing further.
Well, it always is a tough game in that respect. I mean, they, like everything you just said, is what we're used to seeing. I mean, year in and year out, they are big and physical and fast, athletic, and so I knew it would be that way. You touched on this just a little bit, Coach, before we go to the sponsor break. Give us a health update on the team. How are we looking? I know last week we were really banged up. Have you gotten any of those guys back? Are we trying to hold, or what are we?
We got a couple of the skill guys back. Rob Kendrick, he'll be back, and then Zay Smith, DB, he'll be back. And so both of them have gone through the whole week of practice, and they look good, and they look like they're doing fine. Our center, Braden Barnes, that he got rolled up pretty hard Thursday night, and we won't have him. So that's our biggest concern right now. We've lost 3 offensive linemen, and we're trying to get that group to keep getting that's been really the strength of our offense. Why we move the ball is because of our OL, and we keep bringing people up, and just sticking them in where they need to go. It's next man up and keep moving, but it would be really nice to get some of those guys back, but we haven't yet.
I was going to say, Coach, speaking of pulling up, I believe it was the right tackle?
Right guard.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I was impressed.
Yeah, he
played
a good
hard.
player. He's a very good player.
I mean, to step in, that's a critical position.
Yeah.
I thought he played well. Several times I noticed him. I'm sorry, I can't think of his name.
Marion Dawkins.
Thank you,
he does
Mr.
a great
Dawkins.
Job. Yes.
He got out there and was on some lead blocks.
Yep.
Did well inside. I mean, that's a big deal. Step up as a freshman in that kind of spot.
I've never seen it. Honestly, in all the years that I've coached, I've seen some freshmen play at the varsity level, but never an offensive lineman.
Yeah,
this is something that's unheard of.
It is, because a lot of times it might not be that they don't. It's not that they don't know the offense or what to do. Typically, they're not strong enough.
They're not physically strong enough.
And that's not on them. I mean, that's just not.
That's right.
When I saw that, I thought, wow. I mean, I was impressed to see it. And then when I watched him play, I was like, yeah, he can hold his own.
Yeah, he did a good job, and you know, Coach Cruz is going to have him coached up. They're going to know what to do, and but he's got the package. We're going to work him. I can't wait for the off season. The off season is going to be real good for him.
It is.
Yeah, and all of our young guys.
Yeah, we'll get to that a lot later. We got several more weeks to play. So that's it about the outlook for Ashbrook and what we're looking at to see them. We'll take a sponsor break, and when we get back, we will talk about our players of the week. So hang on, and we'll see you in a few.
Mountaineer Football Tonight is sponsored by HB Jones Appraisals, John Gamble and Carolina Golf, the Kings Mountain Family YMCA, Harris Funeral Home,
You ready?
I'm ready. I was looking at a text message from my daughter talking about spaghetti.
There you go.
That's what I'm having tonight. Coach, time to do our players of the week. So let's get into that. Our Gutter Guys player of the week. Thank you to Gutter Guys for sponsoring those. Let's do our Gutter Guys offensive player of the week.
And I'd like to do like I did last week. Throw out some honorable mentions. Let's start with the offensive line. And our offensive line has done a great job. And like we just talked about, missing 3 of them and the other guys stepping up. They did a great job. Thursday night, and we ended up with 337 yards of offense, which was pretty good, 276 rushing. So our offensive line, they're definitely an honorable mention. It's hard to make them a player of the week because they all do the kind of the same thing, but they need to be mentioned because they did a great job. Teddy Jeffries, he made his return after being on the injured list for a while, and he had 6 carries for 66 yards, but in 3 touchdowns, and it was great to have him back. Jaden Gash, 4 catches for, I can't read. It's 4 catches for 60 yards. He had one really good play that was nice, but he also had a punt return for 27. So he was second on our list for most yardage of the night. So he's another one. So, but to go for our offensive player of the week, we're gonna go with Josiah Hill. He ended up having 14 carries for 153 yards, 3 touchdowns. That's about a 10.9. It's 11-yard average per carry. So Josiah, he's done a great job all year. You know, there's some games back there that we've already talked about that where he could have been that offensive player of the week. He was right there on the cusp of it, but he's our guy this week.
Sure, that's a great choice. So Josiah Hill, the Gutter Guys Offensive Player of the Week. Coach, let's do our Defensive Player of the Week.
All right. Well, starting out, you can't take away from all the guys that played out there. Jason Melton had a great night. He had 9 tackles and broke a pass, two tackles for loss, which was really good, and a half of a sack, which that was good. And Jason plays hard every week, and he's definitely it needs to be mentioned. Antonio Armstrong, same thing. He had 6 tackles, but also he scored points because when they snap the ball over the head of the quarterback, you have to label it as it's a safety. You have to give it to somebody. Somebody has to get those points in the stats. So we picked the one who is closest to the ball when it goes out. Antonio was the guy, and he's doing a great job. If you watch him on stunts and things like that, he times it up so well. But he had 3 tackles for loss and a list of other things that he did. So Antonio's another one. Thomas Fair had a good night, 7 tackles and a sack. But we're going to go with Eli Lipscomb, who really, he's the one who scored another touchdown, which was pretty impressive. He led us in production points for the team, which was the reason for him being picked. 6 tackles, and I believe he had 2 quarterback pressures, which was huge, and which included a 3rd down stop. So Eli Lipscomb is our defensive player of the week.
Great choice. Eli Lipscomb, the Gutter Guys Defensive Player of the Week. And finally, Coach, our Special Teams Player of the Week.
All right, he's the guy that you wanted last week, Matt Rom, and so I'm still keeping in mind the play that he made against South Point, where he slowed the guy down and got our guys there to make the tackle, which was huge. But this week he also he had a 50-yard average on 8 kicks, and but he was 4 PATs, and you know, this is he stepped in, he kicked 4, and Max kicked 3, and we were good on all of them. But impressed with Matt and how much improvement he's had since he first started with us.
Sure.
And so he's our Special Teams Player of the Week.
Matt Rom, the Gutter Guys Special Teams Player of the Week. Coach, with him kicking those PATs, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Because we may need him down the road. Especially as we get at the last game next week and then into the playoffs. So our next segment, Coach, we always do Ask the Coach, and I did not get a question this week, but I had one. But here's the deal. You've already answered this, so to speak. But I do want to ask what I had put down, and we kind of talked about this a little bit. I put what was it like having to prepare in short weeks for 2 very important conference games? I mean, and short weeks can be common, but we've done it back to back.
Right.
So you talked about your preparation. Did Did you feel pressured or pushed at all with that being 2 short weeks back to back?
Yeah, but I feel pressured all the time.
Yeah.
Even on a long week, you feel pressured. You're always worried that whether or not you got everything done that you needed to get done, and things that you didn't do during the week. They're always sitting there in the back of your mind, and you're thinking, hey, how can we fix it? And so when we have those short weeks like we do now, the pressure feels like. You got to go faster and faster. And here's the thing: I'm going faster and faster, but the players they're not on my speed, and so that's it causes a little frustration, and I know they get tired of me yelling at them, but that we don't. I don't expect them to walk around on the field. So when we blow the whistle and we change whatever we're doing, we expect them to be moving to get there. And as the season goes on, that tends to kind of drop off.
It can.
So on a short week, it gets even more frustrating. Yeah. But they are doing a good job. They're getting done what they need to get done. But the pressure's there. You never know until you get out there on Friday night.
Yeah.
But the main thing is, like I've said before, it's not about who we're playing right now. It's all about us. We got to take care of us, and on a short week, you don't know if you've got it all done or not.
Right.
So, but you know that your opponent's in the same boat you are. So
they are.
We got to just go out and play.
So a question that popped up in my head about that: because you're playing a short week, do you like having an extra day to prepare for the next week?
I like having the extra day for the coaches to prepare, but we don't bring the players in, or we haven't brought the players in.
Right.
I brought them in the past on a Friday and made them, even if it was just stretch and lift and then go out on the field for a little run through. I've done that before, but so far here we haven't done that.
Right.
But the coaches do seem to enjoy it. We get some work done on Friday that we would normally have to do on the weekend, so it opens up the weekend, frees up the weekend a little bit. But as far as for me, I'd rather be spending that time with the players.
Of course.
And getting something done.
Of course.
But it is what it is. But I don't know why the players wouldn't enjoy it, because it's a long weekend for them.
Oh yeah. Well, you know why, of course. Well, Coach, that's good. I know we got to get you out of here because you got a JV game about to take off out there on our field tomorrow night. We're going to do the info about tomorrow night's game for our fans here in just a moment. But good luck to you.
Yes, sir.
We'll be looking to talk to you next week before the Big Crest game. We'll talk more about that next week, but let's win tomorrow first.
Yes, sir. We're going to take them one at a time.
Yes, sir.
Who's Crest?
I don't even know.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Good luck, Coach.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
We'll take a segment break and sponsor break, actually, and we'll be right back. Thank you.
Mountaineer Football Tonight is sponsored by H.B. Jones Appraisals, John Gamble and Carolina Golf, the Kings Mountain Family YMCA, Harris Funeral Home,
Now they can hear me. Welcome back, fans. We have a special segment you can see. Some of you may not know this is Sarah Fulton. This is Drew's beautiful wife. She is also the talent and the brains behind the big galoot over there behind the computer. And then Mr. Andy Washburn, he's also a wonderful guy. I'm not going to say he's beautiful because people might talk about me if I say that about a guy. You're welcome. We'll say handsome. They are with us, though, for something very special. As you all all know, our arts department is very, very talented, always has been. From the time I came to Kings Mountain back in 2007, very, very impressed. We love what they do for us. They sing the national anthem Thursday at the game. The band does a great job. A lot of people don't know, Mr. Washburn, you're the one that did the new fight song that we play at the beginning of the third quarter, right? Where you play the little version, I don't even know what you call that, like acoustic kind of sounding. Please forgive me, I'm not a musically inclined person.
That's great.
And then
a lot of people have given us good feedback.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
Like that,
But they are here to talk about, they're going to do a joint concert, correct?
Correct.
So that's coming up, and I'm going to let them talk about what they're doing, and so we can promote it, and our fans can know all about it. So you guys tell us all about it.
Sure. The Tuesday night at 7 o'clock, this is our first collaborative concert that we have done together. It will be band and chorus. You will hear some songs from the band, some songs from the chorus, and then we are also doing 2 songs together. And that is at 7 o'clock Tuesday night.
Yep.
The 23rd.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to it. The band has been working on this stuff in addition to all of our marching band stuff throughout the fall. And it's really exciting. We're looking forward. Our first rehearsals with everybody are on Friday. We haven't had a chance to put it together yet, but we're really excited.
Is there a theme? Is it like Halloween based? Is it any? I mean, with the time of the year, I didn't know. Is it fall music? Is it?
There's a little bit of patriotic stuff. There's actually between all of the stuff on the program, there's a really great mix of different stuff.
Cool.
There's something for everybody.
Yeah.
We're doing a song from Prince of Egypt that still is kind of popular. We picked that out over the summer, and we're doing, this is just a classic. We're doing Battle Hymn of the Republic, which I think to both of us is one of the most patriotic American songs.
Of course.
So,
And it includes an audience sing-along. So come with your voices warmed up, ready to sing with us.
How many students total are involved, like between the combined? Do you have any idea?
both programs, it's about 170.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Total.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. And you already answered the other question I had. Had you guys ever done this together before? And you said no. So I think it's a great idea, and it's a good promotion for both programs.
We're all of the kids and teachers, of course. We are ecstatic.
Yeah.
We are ready to go.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great show, just about an hour long, that showcases band separately and chorus separately, and then of course we're most excited about our collaborative pieces. So it's going to be a great evening.
Is this something you guys talked about for a while, and it just happened, or like where did the idea come from?
We had talked about, there are a few pieces that are written for band and choir that we wanted to do, and we thought about the long term. We decided maybe just doing a few smaller pieces together might be a great way to get started. In the long term, I think this is something we're hoping to revisit in a few years and do like some big, heavy hitting music.
Right.
So I think this is part of a long term plan.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
It is a fundraiser.
Yes.
Tickets are $5, and that will be split evenly between the band and choral departments to support our future activities, the clinics, all districts, honors choruses, things that we do outside of school, as well as instructional materials, sheet music, the day-to-day things that our students need.
I think, fans, you know that we have to raise, in education, we raise money. You know, athletic teams raise money, our arts department raises money, and so we want you to come and support, not just because it's a fundraiser for them, but because they do good stuff. I mean, I'm not saying that because they're sitting here. I've said it to both of them individually. We love what they do, and we love the product they produce. I'm looking forward to it. That's going to be really neat to have, and especially to showcase the kids. Because it shows, I mean, it's what you guys are doing to put the work together, but anything we can do to showcase our students is amazing. And our community is blessed with a lot of good musicians. So Tuesday night, time one more time?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock in the auditorium, $5 at the door. Can they buy tickets ahead?
Just at the door.
At the door.
At the door.
Okay, tickets at the door Tuesday night. Please make plans to come and support both of these programs and just be there. And hey, and as Sarah said, be ready to sing because they're going to put you to work.
That's right.
And we'll go from there. So guys, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
And I hope you have absolutely hope you have a good turnout Tuesday.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Hang on, we'll be right back after a sponsor break.
Mountaineer Football Tonight is sponsored by HB Jones Appraisals, John Gamble and Carolina Golf, the Kings Mountain Family YMCA, Harris Funeral Home,
Welcome back, fans. Great to see Mr. Washburn and Miss Fulton here to talk about that concert Tuesday night. I really hope you'll make the chance to come and hear them perform. I know it's going to be really great. So we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to do our This Week at Kings Mountain, and we have some congratulations to give out to some of our Mountaineer athletics. So Drew will put up our graphics, and I will go from there. So this week, today, obviously, the 18th of October, we have women's tennis. They are at Piedmont. Men's soccer is at Forest View. And JV football is at home here in just a few moments against Ashbrook, kicking off at 7 p.m. Tomorrow, of course, Thursday night, we're going to play Ashbrook at 7:30. We'll talk more about the game in just a moment, about getting in and things. Also, on the 20th, women's tennis regional is at Hickory City Park. Hopefully, they can avoid the weather that's supposed to be coming in. On the 21st, the women's tennis team, will be back at Hickory City Park. And our volleyball team will be at home in the first round of the state 3A playoffs for the Western region. We'll talk more about that again in a moment too. On Monday the 23rd, women's tennis will be in the second round of the playoffs, and men's soccer will be at home versus South Point at 6 o'clock. Tuesday the 24th, volleyball will be in the second round of the playoffs, and women's golf will be at Springsdale Resort in the Western Regional playoffs. We want to give a few shout outs. We've got to give some, I'm sorry, Drew, I didn't look at the graphic. Game info, as always, you can buy your ticket ahead of time at Ticket Spigot. That's encouraged to do. You can also purchase them at the gate, but we encourage you to buy them ahead of time. The game, remember, as I just said, has been moved to tomorrow. Gates will open at 6 p.m. The game time is at 7:30. Remember that Gaston County has a no bag policy. That is all bags. It does not matter the size. It does not matter what it's made of. You are not allowed to carry a bag in. As of right now, we do not have permission to broadcast at Ashbrook. That means no audio broadcast and definitely no film. So you will not have anything on YouTube. We apologize for that, but we do not have clearance. What we hope is that maybe a fan or two, a parent, there may be something streamed online. That will not be from us, but it might be possibly from a family member or a fan there in the stands. If you want to check social media, you can, but that will not be from us. Unfortunately, we are not able to do that. I apologize, but we'll be back on the air next week for the home game against Crest. We want to give some congratulations to several of our Kings Mountain athletes and teams. First, we want to give a shout out to Clea Watson. She qualified for the 3A West Regional women's golf tournament. There's a good shot of her. She will be playing, as we saw just a moment ago, coming up early next week. We also want to next give a shout out to our volleyball team. Our women's volleyball team were Big South champions again. As you saw, they will host a playoff game on Saturday. The team is to be determined, and they will be here ready for that. We also would like to give a great big shout out to my main man, Ravis Key, the head coach of the men's cross country team, for leading the men's cross country team to their first conference title since 1998. The men's cross country team won the Big South Men's Cross Country Conference and will be participating and competing on the 28th in the Western Regionals. So big shout out to our cross country team. And finally, in Mountaineer athletics, we had 3 young ladies on the tennis team qualify for the Western Regionals. Elizabeth Bolt and Kayla McSwain qualified for doubles, and Catherine Fry qualified in singles. So congratulations to those teams and to those athletes for representing Kings Mountain so very well and doing great things. It's always a good day to be a Mountaineer. We like to tell you, like we always do, to like and subscribe to the channel if you've not done that already. We want to add more members if we can, so you guys can see these shows each week. The good thing about subscribing and liking them is when you subscribe, you'll get a notification when new shows come on, whether the coach's show is on here or whether a ball game that's been recorded pops up. You'll get that notification so you'll know when to look at it. Touchdown Club reminder, please join the Touchdown Club if you are not already a member. Remember, as I tell you each and every time, they sponsor everything Mountaineer. It's not just athletics, it's not just football, it is everything Mountaineer, and we are blessed to have their support to be able to do things just like this. Finally, please come to the game Thursday night if you can. Obviously, there's no broadcast, as I said before. maybe that will be put on by someone from the stands. Don't know that for sure because I don't know everyone that will be there. But we will not be able to do our broadcast this week, but we'll be back next week for our big home game against Crest. And speaking of that, Drew, do you have the graphic for the Boy Scouts?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to put up the graphic for next week to remind you that we are raising cans and non-perishable foods. On Friday, October 27th, help the Boy Scouts collect food by bringing non-perishable food items to the Kings Mountain Crest game. Members of Troop 92 will be stationed at the home and visitors gate to collect non-perishable items. This is their Scouting for Food movement. It's a national good turn for America. Please help this troop when you come to the game next week by bringing non-perishable food items to fill the coffers so we can support our community and beyond. It's been a great week. Hope you can get out to the JV game, get off here and come watch the game here in just a few minutes, and then definitely be with us tomorrow night at Ashbrook when we play the Green Wave at 7:30. Hope you have a great week. Shout out really quick to Jeff Johnson, who's out of town. But Jeff, thank you for the highlight video. I didn't say that in the beginning. Thank you for that. Thank you, fans, for tuning in and supporting us each week like you do. Can't wait to see you tomorrow night in the stands and cheering on our Mountaineers. Have a great evening, great rest of your week. Be blessed.
Mountaineer Football Tonight is sponsored by HB Jones Appraisals, John Gamble and Carolina Golf, the Kings Mountain Family YMCA, Harris Funeral Home,